Welcome back to the ABL Season 24 North Draft Analysis. You know what? I do the draft ones infrequently enough. I don't know how to lead into them. So, well, first of all, I remember this from. Oh no, that's up to date. Okay. I was gonna change the rules thing because I think I noted that in the South, but either I already did it or Brett did it. Either way, good job to one of us. So, welcome back to the North. Draft is done. This is generally what the draft looks like. Drew's team is cut off here, and I don't want to resize things. I guess I can. Whoa, there's Drew's team, right? Everyone's excited about it. Okay, not Drew's team specifically. I know if I sound like dismissive, but let's settle down. Let's focus in. Time to talk about the North. Really excited because I like a lot of the teams that we have here. As a whole, the things I want to note, a lot less 1-point Pokemon in the North. Also, a lot more 11 Pokemon teams in the North. Which isn't anything like, to write home about, but I just think it's interesting the different stylistic choices between the North and the South. But we can hop right into this here. Oh, hold on. This is why I had the zoom edit the way it was. Boom. Yeah, that looks good, right? This is what we did in the South. Let's hop into. We got the Minnesota Typhlosion, coached by Zeng. Okay, couple things jumping out at me, but let's focus on the speed tiers first. Pretty good top end speed, having 2 Pokemon at 110, and then you got Cinderace at 119 and Sceptile hitting the 120 mark. Nothing like elite. I classify elite as 130 and higher because there's like a handful of viable Pokemon that hit that speed tier. But still, this is good top end speed and big drop off after 80. But I think that's about as low as I would accept before being like, oh, there's a gap. Because like if you had a drop off after 85, more concerning because Pokemon that are like 70 can easily run Modest and catch your stuff. But I like that. As a side note, he sniped Slowbro, Mega Slowbro from Brett. There's a lot of talk about Mega Slowbro. And you know what? I guess I'll get into it here. There's a lot of discussions about Slowbro, and then also I heard a lot of Garchomp talk. But like, if I take Slowbro, do I have to Mega Evolve it? Can I just basically use Slowbro with no item? That's a good question, and because Mega Slowbro, if you use it as Slowbro with no item, is Slowbro for like 5 points less. Did he hack the system? I don't know. I'm not gonna. I wouldn't say that for certain, but it's something that a lot of people were talking about. It's something we'll have to take a closer look at going into next season. So, other things to note here. I don't. So, I would like to see. So there's something going on here that I want to talk about. So Tapu Lele, Pokemon that I really like in the format. I really wanted to have Tapu Lele when we did the FBC, but Zane took that from me. And Hisuian Braviary. Hisuian Braviary is an interesting case because there's a VGC tech involving these. Well, not these 2 Pokemon. I guess it'd be indeed a female that it involves. The VGC people might know what it is. I'm not going to go into it here. I'd be interested to see if Zeng goes for it. I like the combination of Urshifu and Tapu Lele. I think they're going to work really well together. Lycanroc Dusk, there's a little bit of anti-synergy from Tapu Lele here because it won't be able to use I say it won't be able to use its Cell Rock. It can still hit levitating or flying types with a Cell Rock, which is partially what you're going to use it for, right? That's good. Drifblim, an Unburden user to take advantage of the Psychic Terrain. I like that. The Dragonsteel Fairy Core of Celesteela, Tapu Lele, and Latios is very scary. Excited to see Celesteela back in the league. It's got such a commanding presence, and it's got, that great steel flying typing. He's also got Sticky Web to kind of help make the most of these speed tiers he's got. And then I wouldn't say he's got a Trick Room core because you could maybe go Trick Room, Tapu Lele. I think it gets it. Maybe I'm wrong. Assuming Braviary probably gets it, and Slowbro definitely gets it. Araquanid can abuse it. There's almost a Trick Room team here, but I'm not one to say that it is. Maybe that's something we'll see him try to move towards at certain points. I'm gonna jump over to here and jump over to the type chart. Lot of things that are ripe for exploitation. No ground type means that these 5 electric weaknesses have to be absorbed by Latios and Sceptile, not the stoutest of Pokemon. I think that is going to be something he's going to struggle with. Flying types, not as concerned about that. Rock types, we talk about rock types every season, although only one resist is kind of surprising. But you got the premier like rock type attacker on your team, so less concerning. These ghost types, though, very concerning. A lot of people have ghost types. Shadow Ball is on every Pokemon. And your only resist being Urshifu could be a problem. And then on the same front, you have Dark. Dark spam's real easy against this team. A lot of pressure on Urshifu being your only rock, only ghost, only dark resist. We'll see how that works out for you. I don't love it. Also, it's noteworthy to me when this box is not green. Bug is the easiest thing to accidentally resist in the whole wide world. I'm going to chalk it up to the fact that there is 1, 2, 3, 4 Psychic type Pokemon on this team. That's one of the main reasons why that bug box is not checked. Beyond that, let's look in terms of hazards. You got Sticky Web with Araquanid. You got Rocks with Lycanroc. In terms of control, you got Defog and Court Change. I don't love that for Zhang. I think that's a little weak on the hazard front. In terms of attackers, I mean, he's got great special attackers. He's got 3 Pokemon hitting 130. That's something to write home about. Only the one Pokemon, like, he's got nothing that's like terrible at physical attack, but he doesn't have a lot of like super strong stuff. Like, he's probably gonna have to run Choice Banded Ace if he really wants it to be scary. Urshifu's very scary. Lycanroc, this 117 does a lot of heavy lifting with Tough Claws, so I think that's good. I talked a lot about different modes on stuff in the South draft. I kind of see some stuff here with like the pseudo Trick Room and the Sticky Webs, because you can kind of go in either direction. Like Sticky Webs makes your middle stuff your like middle speed stuff way stronger. Like stuff in this range a lot better, but Trick Room makes the stuff in this range much better. It's interesting to see what he's going to do. Also, Tapu Lele actually makes the stuff at the top way better because they're less likely to be affected by priority. So something to note. He does have some things that can play with speed here, and I think that is always a big help. Moving on, we've got Logan in the Alabama Crimson Hive. So he got, just like in the South, he's got a Coco Lucha. I love Coco Lucha along with Doug Trio. I love trapping in the league. I think that's great. I did talk to him probably after maybe the 4th pick of the draft, and I'm like, you need to go get yourself a ground type. And then he drafted 3 ground types after that. Because the problem was, I think at the time, he had Melodic, Hawlucha, Tapu Koko, and Chi-Yu. It's a kind of a double-edged sword when you take a terrain setter, because yeah, they're going to boost a lot of the stuff on your team, and you've designed it to take advantage of those boosts. But then on the flip side, you can also get that move spammed against you, and you need to be able to take it on. You see it also with Rain and Sun teams. Sun teams are a little bit more susceptible to it just because a lot of the Sun abusers tend to not resist fire, and that can be a problem. Speed tiers, really good. Kind of like heavier on the top end stuff. This gap is like just enough. Like, I don't love seeing a big gap like that, but you know, not terrible. I think it's fine. Otherwise, yeah, in this actually even a little bit better. And then we got the same kind of drop off from like low 80s to mid 60s that we saw on Zeng's team. In terms of the Pokemon themselves, one of the things I like, Chi-Yu puts a lot of pressure on things like fairies and bulky waters. And those are things that you need out of the way for Hawlucha. Dugtrio can trap steel types. That is also going to make things better for your fairy type here. Clodsire also going to be able to come in and take hits from poison types that are going to try to check Tapu Koko as well. I like a lot of the synergies going on with this team. Like, they're not obvious ones. Outside of Koko Lucha, they're not super obvious, but I like what he's got going on here. This is just like a nice classic, like, it's such a happy looking fairy, like, fire water grass core, because you also have reliable reliable recovery on all of them. You got flip turn on one. Like, none of them are super passive, and they can also, these two in particular, can kind of go offense. The one thing that's jumping out at me is maybe there's no spin blocker when you got like 1, 2, 3, 4 hazard setters. Also, no rapid spinner when you do have a couple of defoggers and such good hazard setters. I guess just one defogger, right? I mean, I guess you could run defog on Hawlucha, but like, come on. Maybe the hazard control game is something I don't love. Kind of have to see where that goes. And if I was going to nitpick, I think maybe he'd like to have a rising voltage user on this team to take advantage of what Tapu Koko's got going for it. Just like one other thing to kind of like bump up this team offensively. I'd like to see that. The Mega Steelix pick's an interesting one because, like, you know, it's got that crazy defense stat, and you're going to have weeks where you're just going to be able to shut people down with Mega Steelix. Like, Clodsire and Mega Steelix probably aren't going to come to a lot of the same games, but they shut different things down. And if you can get that play right, it's going to be hard for teams to deal with it. Looking forward to seeing what's going on there. Let's see what else we got. I think that's it for this. Plenty of decent special attackers like Azelf. Chi's very good, obviously. Azelf's pretty good. Koko is like really only good if it's hitting electric moves. That's something to look out for. Physical attackers, I would say maybe one of the problems is he doesn't have like really good immediate offense, like really good immediate physical attackers. Could be something to watch out for. Jumping over the type chart. Water, honestly, not too bad. Ice, not too bad. Ground, that's a lot of ground weaknesses. Like, that's a lot of ground weaknesses, but he does have quite a few immunities. I don't love seeing this box red. I think that's kind of a hard pill to swallow. But you have really good resists in Shaman and Corviknight can take on just about any ground type. Even Melodic can really soak up hits pretty well from ground types. So, less of a concern. This poison column is slightly concerning. I know he's got the 2 immunities. No, it's not that bad. No, yeah, this looks fine. Nothing really stands out to me here. And we already talked about all the other stuff. So, pretty solid team from Logan. I'm excited to see because this is obviously maybe a little bit offense heavy. Like, no, this is a balanced team. He's got like, these are obviously all big offense Pokemon. Azelf can go support. These are more defensively aligned Pokemon that can sometimes switch to offense. These are definitely defensive Pokemon. Really interested to see what this team does because I think it's built to do pretty well. I'll take a second to have some Zero Sugar Sprite. Wonderful. If anybody's uncle works at Sprite, tell him to give me money. Okay, moving on. We got Ishii. I'm going to go ahead and start by saying that I feel like I have been kind of hard on Ishii's Pokemon philosophies a bit in the past, and I think I need to reevaluate because I think he's doing a lot of stuff that I would have done in early seasons of the ABL, but I learned that those weren't the best, and I think I grew from those, and he's just doing those now, which is no problem. I mean, like so I really need to remember that this is his 3rd season in the league, maybe 3rd or 4th. I guess I should remind me, and just kind of like really look, because I think he's not just doing the paint by numbers Pokemon stuff. He's trying to find stuff that works and kind of innovate in a way. And I need to be less hard on him for trying to do stuff that I absolutely would have done in season 1 or 2. Going into that though, you know what? Looking at this team, I do have some critiques that I would like to level. Now, I'm gonna start with, that's a terrible speed tier gap. That's huge. Being 32 points is a lot. Anything that is 105 to 105 to 120. Nothing there has to run timid, or jolly for that matter. Don't love that, and he doesn't have a good way to play with speed tiers on this team. So I don't like that gap. This gap is, it covers the 15 that I look for. Everything else is fine there in terms of speed tiers. Now, what sticks out like a sore thumb to me is this Politoed. Politoed's tough because, well, first of all, I think if you're gonna go Rain, you need to have a Rain abuser. And I know Archaladon's here. I get that. Archaladon in Rain can be pretty good, but a couple of things to keep in mind. You're losing a turn with Politoed, because if you bring in Politoed, then that means you have to go hard into Archaladon. So you're trading time with Politoed in, and you are also trading damage on Archaladon because you can't get it in safely. Something to look out for there. And sure, maybe you can bring it in on a physical attack and you get the boost. It can still be difficult. So I'm gonna start there. Archaladon, and then the other thing is too, the things that on this team that actually benefit from Rain. I'm not counting Suicune. Suicune does what Suicune does, rain or shine, right? So Suicune doesn't really benefit from Rain. Greninja benefits from Rain, but the things that wall Greninja will still wall Greninja in Rain. It's not a big enough boost to kind of move the needle for Greninja offensively. Obviously, Archaladon gets better in Rain because of a non-stab move that boosts its special attack. Unfortunately, you can also switch immunities into that, and Archaladon doesn't have a good way to take advantage of the Rain boosts. So, and finally, there's nothing here that gets a speed boost from Rain. I think that is the most important thing that Rain does. I think I talked about it a little bit in the South. It's more important to mess with people's speed calcs than it is to mess with their defensive calcs, because it's hard to change how much damage a Pokemon does. Like, if you can boost it by, like, if you can do 30% more damage, that's like a decent amount, and it probably turns a 3-hit KO into a 2-hit KO. But that's, hold on, that's not right. Because if you're doing 30% damage, a 30% boosted is another 10%, so it makes it 40%. Like, that's what Life Orb does. Like, Life Orb gives a 30% damage boost. I hope this is tracking. Anyways, but, like, if you can change a speed calc, you only need to be 1 point faster to, like, be able to attack first. That means you have another round of attacks before they can do anything. It's a big deal. And I think that this team doesn't have good ways to deal with, like, to take advantage of that. Like, there's maybe a little Trick Room component on Cresselia, and, Mawile can take advantage of it, but I think you need more Trick Room setters to do that. Also, there's a little bit of anti-synergy with Rain and Cresselia and Roserade. Their recovery moves are going to recover less in the Rain. So, I think there's some conflicts there. I think there's the bones of good stuff here. Like, the idea of Rain is good, but I think you need to splurge on it a little bit. Like, for example, I don't want to give examples, but I think if you'd gone Pelipper and then shelled out some points for something else to get like because it's shelling out more points, right? But if you could find a mid to low tier Rain abuser and replace, I don't know, you have a lot of water types, so like part of me says Suicune, but I know it's the mascot. I don't know. I think there's some tinkering to be done here. Either that, or I think you need to take advantage of the waiver wire as much as you can to like kind of rotate in those mons that you need week to week. But let's look at other things. Let's look at the type chart here. Electric is a little bit of a problem, but that ratio is not terrible, 3 to 4 in terms of resists to weaknesses. So that's doable. Flying's hard to take advantage of. There's not a ton of super scary flying types. Like better ones on the physical side, but the special side, you know, they got to hit hurricanes, and those are inaccurate sometimes. Ghost types, only the one resistance Greninja. That's tough. If something starts firing off shadow balls, you don't have anything you want to take with them really well. Fairies also, the ratio's not bad, but you know, a lot of fairy types out there. Almost every team's gonna have a fairy type. So nothing terrible there. I'll be looking with those. I don't know. Those are the only ones that stand out to me. I think it's fine. In terms of hazards, you got spikes and toxic spikes with Roserade. Good. Stealth rocks with Donphan. Good. Spinner. A little limited on options there, but Donphan's a super reliable spinner. Oh, Hitmontop's also a spinner. What am I saying? So not bad there. My biggest critiques on this team is kind of tighten up its identity. If you're gonna go Trick Room, go get another Trick Room on. If you're gonna go Rain, I think you need to invest in it. This is kind of a weird half thing going on here. I think you need to lean a little bit one way or a little bit the other. I don't think this quite captured what I would love to see. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna have to say with that. Moving on, we got Kyle. Oh man, Kyle. So I already know there's some incoming changes with this team, but I'm gonna evaluate it as is. Speed tiers, looking fine. No complaints there. He's also got some kind of like, he's got some good speed control stuff going on with like T-Wave on Grimmsnarl and Sticky Web on Rabombi. Don't mind those things. In terms of hazards, you got rocks. I feel like Muck probably gets toxic spikes. Then you got defog, rapid spin. Maybe a more reliable rocker because Iron Treads is, I don't think, great at that role. Like, I maybe you need a more reliable rocker is probably what I would like to see there. I mean, not a lot to talk about there. Like, this is a really high average attack stat. Like, you got really high attack things like Muck's decent, obviously Grimmsnarl, Scizor, Decidueye's pretty strong. Salamence, Treads, Iron Valiant. Iron Valiant, I think, is going to be the make or break on this team. If Iron Valiant, if Kyle can bring the right Iron Valiant set, then it's going to be such a matchup nightmare for people. Like, Kyle really needs to get that right. I think that's going to be important for him. Because if you bring the right 3 attacking moves on Iron Valiant and then 1 correct status move, you can really, break down some walls. Not bad there, not bad. Yeah, neither of these red boxes concern me. And then is there a distinct lack of green boxes anywhere? No, honestly, like, Kyle does a good job of making sure this row here looks good. That row 18, Kyle does a good job of making sure it looks solid pretty much all the time. I was talking with someone today. I think Kyle is a good drafter, but I think he drafts, I think, the right Pokemon. Like, outside of there being maybe you needed another stealth rocker, speed tiers are great. Your type matchups are good. Checks a lot of boxes, but I don't know if Kyle always has the right way to bring it together, and that's why we see him do so many shuffles in terms of ad drops, which we'll probably talk about on Thursday. Moving on, we've got the DC Doug Trio with this clean rebrand here. Let's get the logo in the shot for a minute, right? Looking good. So, it's a little bright. I do want to say that, though. It's a little, sharp, though. Okay. Don't like that speed gap. Too big. Look, you got elite speed. That's great. too big of a speed gap. I don't know. That's one thing. Everything else is fine in terms of speed. That's always what I go to first. Let's check this chart out real quick. Flying and rock we've talked about. Ghost has been a predominant, like, it's been a prevalent thing. Like, I think that is something that people need to watch out for. Ghost is not one of those types that I think it's easy to, like, I think it's hard to dismiss a ghost weakness, because even if there isn't a ghost type in the league, so much stuff runs Shadow Ball. Like, that's such a prevalent move on so many types. And it's just, if you don't switch into it well, I think that's exploitable. Let me double check, make sure there's nothing else ugly here. This is a very filled in chart, I feel like. Talked a little bit about that in the south. Yeah, we talked about flying. Yeah, no, that looks okay. No big scary spots there. Again, that's not green, which I don't love, but but you know what? This not being green is even less of a problem because he's got Tapu Bulu here. You know what? I didn't take note of the fact that he's got Tapu Bulu. I didn't take a close look at this team, and now that I'm seeing it here, I'm liking this collection of Mons, actually. Okay, let's look at some of the other checklist items here, right? So we've got rocks on Cleavor from a move. Got rocks on Quag, rocks on Registeel. Clearing, you got... Is that no clearing? Is there 0 clearing on this team? That's astounding. That you did, like, maybe Cottony gets... Okay, I'm gonna have to look at it on the side here. Sorry, guys. I hate to slow this down, but this is astounding. Okay. Cottony, you get defog. You do, great. Cottony gets defog. No worries there. Thunderous. Do you get defog? That's the only defog. Okay, defog on Thunderous, defog on Cottony. You definitely can afford to use a move slot on defog on Thunderous, and Cottony is a staple on most teams, so no concerns there. That couldn't possibly go wrong. Man, I was super excited about this. Okay, and I'm dipping quick. Also, Toxic Spikes and Overquill. I didn't give him credit for that. How does this grass? No. He's, because I was gonna say, ooh, 2 grass weaknesses here, but literally almost every other Pokemon in his team resists grass, so not too much of a concern. Okay, Lopunny doesn't like fairy types. You have Overquill that can come in and take fairy hits. I feel like this team needs a fire type or something, is what that's... Oh, no, it's got Victini. What am I fucking talking about? Victini kind of come in and break down bulky waters. Those are going to be... And then it's going to invite in Tapu Bulu. I like a lot of the synergies there. I like what this team has going for it offensively. I'm very excited about that. What I'm not excited about is that all of his Pokemon need to run boots. You can't run Choice Scarf Cleaver because you got to put boots on Cleaver. You can't run Choice Banded Tapu Bulu because you got to get boots on Bulu. Lopunny can't wear boots because it's wearing tights and looks silly. Uggs don't protect you from hazards. Look, I'm sure it'll be addressed because I think someone will make him pay for it. That's all I'm going to say about that. We can move on to another red and white team. We got the Zach and the Dallas Drills. Zach always puts together solid teams. And looking at speed tiers, looking like this may be another one of Zach's solid teams. Oh, okay. This is kind of one of those speed tiers I'm talking about, where it's like a pretty big drop off from 85 down to 66. There's a lot of room in the 70s for stuff to play. I've talked about it before. I don't know how Zach builds his speed tiers. These are speed tiers that would concern me because anything that's 70 is just going to go ahead and run. Like anything that is honestly lower than 85 is just going to go ahead and run modest because it can stay like 85 to 70 is 84 to 70, excuse me. It's just going to go ahead and run modest. Because actually, yeah, any offensive Pokemon that is below 85 is running Modest, and that's a lot of Pokemon. Don't love that. I don't love that Monkey Dory is so cheap. Monkey Dory did really well for him last season, I think, and I'm sure it's going to do good again. Excited to see him have Ogerpon. I've seen that Pokemon do a lot of really cool stuff. Excited to see more of it. Thundurus, along with another Regenerator in Hydrapple. That's going to be a scary combo. Got a lot of good pivoting here, I'm noticing. That's really what I'm taking away from this team. Obviously, Golisopod I'm really excited to see Zach use, because I think you can use it really tactically. First of all, it's got like a good defensive typing, and if you are very careful with it, you can use it to gain fantastic momentum in addition to having it be a revenge killer with that very strong first impression. I like what he's got going on here. He's got good defensive Pokemon in Tinglu, Hydrapple, and Skeledirge, and they work together pretty well. A Tinkaton, a really solid support piece for him. Palafin. Okay, let's focus on Palafin. What does Palafin not like to see? It doesn't like to see dragon types come in on it. Tink can address those. It doesn't like to see grass types come in on it. Torn can deal with those. Or bulky waters, Manectric. Manectric's one. I've been down on Manectric. I know it's like one of Logan's favorite Pokemon, but I'm down on Manectric. It doesn't have good coverage. All it can run, I guess in this metagame, it can run Signal Beam, which is important because it lets you hit grass types. I always got a lot of flack for being like the big 4 moves, Return slash Frustration, Pursuit, Hidden Power, and then lumping Signal Beam in there. People like not important. Important to Pokemon like Manectric who want to be able to hit grass types. I mean, granted, he's got Overheat. Okay, maybe Signal Beam's not important on Manectric, my bad. Like on a Pokemon like Crocodile coming in or something. Crocodile doesn't care as much about Overheats, but you can hit that super effective. I remember doing that with, well, it's a Raikou before he had access to Scald. Things used to be different back in the day. But limited coverage on Manectric is something that concerns me. You can only do Fire, Electric, Bug as your coverage there. But there's a lot of pivoting here that's going to give him matchup advantage, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do. With the new ad drop system, I think he's more inclined to make changes, but so far, not seeing the need to do it here. Let's look at types. Flying, we've talked about that, low concern. Rock, low concern. Nothing else here is very scary. He's got one of these gray boxes here on ground. But he's got such good pivots into it. Not too concerned about it. Liking what this type chart's showing me. Yeah, no, we're good. I think he's solid. Maybe the problem here could be, since you are relying on the one steel type / fairy type, it's one Pokemon. If Tinkaton goes down, your team maybe becomes susceptible to Dracos being dropped on you, because this Spadef that you got going on here is really held up by Tink and Terapagos. Terapagos, I don't know how to evaluate. I'm excited to see a player like Zach take it. We saw Brett take it last season, or maybe it was in the FBC. Didn't see a lot from it. I want to know what this Pokemon is supposed to do, because I don't know. Hazards, clearing in Torn and Terapagos, and that's it. Spikes and rocks, like good control there. I think maybe, no, I was gonna say grounded poison. He's got that. This team doesn't have any modes. Now, again, not something that is needed to be done, but it's something that can really elevate a team. Maybe you could say, what's it called? Tailwind. This team feels pretty, especially in the hands of Zach, feels very fundamentally solid, so maybe it doesn't need anything like that. But something to look for that could really elevate this team and make it even more difficult to deal with. Because right now, you can just kind of straight up plan for this team, and there's no curveballs that Zach can throw. It's harder to throw them, at least. But I mean, it's Zach. He's gonna win minimum 5 games, right? That's kind of what we expect. Moving on, we have another team that is likely to win a minimum 5 games. It's the 4 or 5-time champion. We've got Brett. Not to discount Zach, he's the I think 4 or 5-time champion. He's defending champion too. So, moving on to Brett. Big speed gap, huge, but also it's elite speed, because there's very few things that even break up into that 130 mark, and then the 115 is also still pretty fast. This is 145 is actually so fast, it's really not 145, because there's very few things that are going to live around there. I think maybe because it's not as big of a deal. I don't really know how to explain it, but that's not that big of a deal. Nothing else looks terrible. Actually, kind of like a overall faster team, and you also have access to sticky web here. Okay, let's check out the type chart. Fire, a little concerning. Fire's pretty prevalent, so to have red box there is concerning. There's that ghost problem again. This doesn't even have any ghost immunity, so your only resist is Mandibuzz. Granted, Mandibuzz can take poltergeists and shadow balls all day, all night, rain, snow, tidal storm, whatever. Tidal storm? Tidal wave. That's not how the line goes. Fairy, again, I'm surprised to see Fairy. You don't see this box be pink very often. It's interesting. Well, Tapu Lele's in the league, so definitely something to look out for. How's this box? That's green at least. That's something. Hazards. T-spikes. It's clearing rocks. Clearing prevention. Oh yeah, rocks. Yeah, this team definitely has all those things going for it. In terms of synergies that I'm excited to see, oh man, Vaporeon and Tangrowth, they're never gonna die, along with Mandibuzz there to complete the trio. Ugh, that's defensively disgusting. I'm also we have it in the South too. I'm excited to see what Glaring Darmanitan can do, because I kind of don't know what to expect from it. I expect it to, break down defensive Pokemon pretty well. A lot of Steel types and bulky waters are going to come in on it. And you know what? Those are things Iron Moth wants moved out of the way. So I think these two are going to be fast friends. And then Iron Moth is also going to be clearing out fire types that are going to be able to, or not, it's going to be weakening fire types that come in on it, and getting rid of fairy types, which can open up things for Sceptile. I think there's some synergies here. Excited to see what Brett can do with that. I know that wasn't very deep, but it's these two have such fundamentally sound team building that there's not a lot to say about them, right? Moving on, we finally got Drew, somebody who has kind of slowly become an elite player in the league. He hasn't won the big one yet, but he's just been quietly doing really well the past 4 or 5 seasons. We started him out in the South, and he very quickly rose to prominence in the North, and he's been doing very well. So excited to see what he's gonna do here. Speed gaps, nothing. No concerns. Speed, great. Red boxes. We got, okay, ratio's not bad here, just being one off, not a huge deal. Ice is also another one of those ones I don't give a lot of credit to, because there's not great ice type attackers. Flying, not a big problem. Rock, interesting, no rock resist. Normally I would just ignore rock entirely, because but no rock resist is really interesting. That means all of these Pokemon that aren't wearing boots are just taking 12%. And how's the clearing looking? So we got Rapid Spin on a Pokemon that, let's be honest, is a bit of a liability to bring sometimes. Defog. Maybe Defog, but you're not running it. I think that's a problem. This red box combined with the limited hazard removal, and I would, in the past, I would also say sometimes the best way to remove hazards is get up a lot of hazards and make your opponent defog. This team doesn't put up a ton of hazards either. Heatran, Gligar, Landorus. Not doing it with Landorus, so it's pretend. Gligar and Heatran. Gligar's going to be very important to this team. I'm concerned about the hazard control on this team. That is concerning, along with the Rock's weakness. How many things did he got off the ground to ignore spikes? 1, 2, 3. This is going to be a boots-heavy team, I fear. But anyways, looking at the other stuff, Roaring Moon wants fairies gone. And you don't have a fairy killer, but you have like a couple of really good fairy switch-ins in Pecharunt and Heatran. Heatran doesn't kill fairies very well, but it can definitely force them out, and it doesn't, I don't know how, but the Heatran doesn't lose a lot of momentum between, like, I guess it's probably just between Magma Storm and the fact that it's able to come in, take very little damage from a Moonblast or something, and then it gets 2 turns of leftovers at least, because it'll like get hit for 14% from a Moonblast, get 6% back. Now it's only down, what's the math on that? I'm dumb. 8%, right? No, it's 8%. And then it'll fire off a Magma Storm as a Vaporeon comes in. Vaporeon takes 10% damage from the initial Magma Storm. Heatran gets another couple back from leftovers, and then Vaporeon loses another 12 from the Magma Storm. It can just really slowly chip stuff down. And also, speaking of which, water types are going to come in on it. You got Ogerpon there to really punish them. Ogerpon, like the Ogerpon Wellspring in particular, I think is like really good. It's just got so few weaknesses to take advantage of. Like Sheer Force Landorus Eye is nothing to mess with either. Like I didn't give it a lot of discussion, but these 4 are such strong attackers. I guess that's how you're going to make up for the lack of rocks on your team, that you're going to be putting so much pressure on your opponent to switch. They're not going to have time to put up rocks. I guess that's the plan, and it can work really well. In addition to the fact that if you do have to switch, you have one of the like best pivots in Alamalola, just being able to come in, wish, flip, turn out, and stay healthy and get the rest of your team back to being healthy. I was a little down on this, but I mean, none of these Pokemon are bad. I've used a lot of these Pokemon. Let's see, I've used 1. Maybe I haven't used a lot of these Pokemon. I don't remember if I've used Mega Gardevoir. I know I considered doing it, but I think I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Not bad. Pretty solid team. Let's take a look at the schedule, what we have going on next week. Zhang and Drew, oh man, on opposite ends of the draft board. Lele versus this team. I mean, Drew's got one of the best one of the best, let's see if I can, hang on. No, it doesn't matter, it looks ugly. Drew's got one of the best Lele counters in Heatran. It's going to force him to use Focus Blast on try to catch the Heatran, or get really creative with stuff. I think that, let's see, Gardevoir firing off, Celesteela eats that up. Ogerpon coming in, looking good for Araquanid there. That looks nice. I think the best, Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon looks good in this matchup. Low Kicks is not going to be coming. Let's be honest. If Low Kicks shows up, it'll be Low Kicks' lucky day. Yeah, I like this matchup. That'll be really interesting. A lot of not that. Then we got Logan versus Brett. Oh man, I feel like I already looked at this a little bit. Let me take a look. How's Coco Lucha look? Super scary. If he can get Coco Lucha properly set up, it can really do some big damage. Chi-Yu and Vaporeon are gonna be spending a lot of time on the field together. Who's gonna get trapped by Dugtrio? I don't know, maybe Raikou, but there's not a lot of good trapping candidates on this team, so that might not be a thing. And like another interesting matchup. Lots to consider there, and I'm trying to do it fast without just telling people what sets to run. Ishii versus Zach, you know? A team that I was high on versus a team, probably the team that I was least high on. Let's take a look at what Palafin does to this team. Not a ton because of Suicune. That's a good start. Nectar comes in, scares some stuff out. Where's the ground type? Did we talk about? Yeah, there is a ground type. It's Donphan. And that can hold up pretty well. How about the Monkey? Monkey's having a good day here. What does Greninja deal with? Greninja can be kind of a tough matchup. So we'll see how that goes. I think that I have my issues with Ishii's team, and some of them could get exposed by. I mean, if anybody's gonna expose them, it's Zach, right? Then we got Kyle versus Mike. Well, how come I can never find the right tab? Kyle versus Mike, right next to each other. Isn't that convenient? Well, you know what? Kyle's team's gonna change by the time they face each other. But how's the Hazard game looking? You know what? The Hazard game doesn't look super strong here. Mike, you might be okay this week. That's good news for you. You won't have to pay the piper until the week after. But that's all I've got for you. Thank you for listening. I am gonna try to put no promises on how often we're gonna get game recaps, just because I don't love covering 8 games a week. It's a lot. I'm gonna at least try to do some ad drop coverage, definitely later this week, maybe regularly. Maybe I'll do kind of a abbreviated game coverage thing because I like talking about them, but just it's a lot to go through. So, but thank you all for listening. Thank you for your support. Let's make season 24 another great season. I'll see you later. Goodbye.